Hey YouTube, welcome back to Friday Philosophy. I am kicking back this evening in my library, having a little GLP's Quiet Nights and a little bit of Clan McGregor and water. It's been a pretty chill kind of evening. Just been sitting back here over the last couple of hours and just thinking about life and things and, the general day-to-day worries that we've all got. And one of the things that got me is how complicated life has become, or life gets as we get older. Caused me to pull this here book off the shelf. If any of you guys remember the old Charlie Brown cyclopedias for kids. Growing up, I was a voracious reader and consumer of information. From Sesame Street to Electric Company, 3-2-1 Countdown, Charlie Brown encyclopedias, whatever I could get my hands on or watch that taught me something, I consumed. And it went that way all the way through high school. You've got an organization I've never been in? Sign me up for that. Oh, after school plays? Yep, I'll do that. Sports? Yep, you name it. I signed up for it all the way through college and had a lot of fun. And I dare say that trend has largely continued into my adulthood. I've been on volunteer boards, I've been on organizations, I've carried 2 to 3 jobs at a time. Always going, always learning, always consuming, always doing. And somewhere over the last couple of years, it's all gotten to be maybe a bit much. You guys all know what it's like to put too much stuff in your schedule, whether it's working or parenting or extracurricular whatever. When you have filled your cup to the brim and just can't keep up the pace anymore. And, it's a sign of aging. I understand that, certainly. But I also think it's a sign of our modern society and the way we have all been trained now to consume information. Everything we look at is feeding us information, advertisements, sports scores, news headlines, the works. And we're bombarded by it. And the funniest part of that is that it's voluntary on our parts. Whether we like it or not, we are willing participants in the game. And, for me, that's one thing I've got to stop. I need to be able to quiet my mind. One thing that's changed for me over the years is I used to be able to focus on a single task. Even when there were multiple things at hand, I could focus and get that task done without distraction. And I dare say that has changed a lot for me over the last few years. And I struggle to find a concrete explanation for it. But I do believe it's the multitasking, multimedia world that we're living in that's done the most damage anyway. I can be watching a TV show and, I need to check my email. Well, why? Why? Well, because there could be something important, and sometimes there is. But it's that need to be somewhere else. It's hard for me, maybe for you too, to just be in the moment and shut down the devices, the televisions, the computers, all of those things. We're in a capitalistic and consumer culture, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't still be able to focus on something. But we've been trained to believe that if we aren't focusing on all of these things, that we're going to miss out on something. And we are. What I'm missing out on is the peace of mind I used to have. And it's time to recollect that if I can. You know, one of the things that has most recently started to bother me is the fact that I have 5 email accounts. 5. And there may be people out there with more, but I would imagine the vast majority of folks have far fewer, maybe even only one, if that. I would be okay going back to those days. But I've had a personal email for, I suppose 15 years. And then I've got a work email. And then I've got a secondary work email for my part-time job. Then I manage an email for a local organization. And, all of those things just kind of pile on top of one another. And before you realize it, you're losing an hour a day or more just combing through emails. And worst of all, spam emails. If I'm sure some of you have gotten some spam before. I get upwards of 200 spam emails across all of my accounts on a daily basis. And it's maddening. So it's going to stop. I can't get rid of all of my emails. I can't really get rid of any of them, but I am, as of tomorrow, ditching one of them. I've been working at this for a few months in terms of switching over the usernames for all of my accounts, changing up passwords and all of that nonsense. But it's hard to just cut the cord from an email because you don't know if everybody that needs to know knows. So I've held on for several months, but tomorrow I'm cutting the cord on one of those emails and it will go away forever. That doesn't put a big dent into simplifying my life, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. But since I brought it up, the emails, the accounts that we all have for our various online activities, it's maddening, man. And I read a story a while back about how passwords are dead. It's just there for your peace of mind. Because any hacker with any salt can hack your accounts. So all of this nonsense about capital letters, special characters, numbers, and all of that is really pretty meaningless. It's there to make you feel better. It's hard to manage all those. How many passwords do we actually have for all of our accounts? I'm doing something relatively stupid. I have a file on Google Docs where I collect all of them because I can access it anywhere. So if I forget something at work, if I forget something at home, I can go to the cloud and get it. Fortunately, my finances aren't readily available through that file. This is mostly just for the little things, the work accounts that you have to sign up for various things, the like. But we are filling our heads with some of the most nonsensical information out there. And I think it's adding to that clutter, that fidgetiness that I've got anyway. But just that inability to focus because we are cramming all of this stuff in, and so much of it is useless in the grand scheme of things. I used to read a lot of philosophy. I haven't done that for some time, and that's obviously my fault. But time is always an issue. But I would love to get back to focusing on philosophical thoughts instead of getting the what I'm doing right now, the random thoughts, the inability to focus, the inability to settle into something. And, I'm ready for it to change. And I would dearly love to be able to get away from cable, but I love my sports. And I know Sling TV, and I know there's other alternatives if you want that at home. But then you're adding another layer of complexity. Now you've got a separate unit or a separate app. or a DVD player or whatever, and an additional remote so you can access that app. And you know, the one thing about cable television, as useless as 99% of the channels are, is it's generally speaking one remote. And it's pretty well, you know, ingrained in us how to operate a television and not have to think. And I like Netflix, I like my Amazon apps that I can access, but again, we're adding layers of complexity in an effort to make life simpler. And it's absurd, but we've, again, trained ourselves to believe that technology is the solution. And if you didn't see my video from last week about depending too much on technology, that certainly becomes relevant to this conversation too. And I'm talking too much and not being able to keep my pipe lit, but nevertheless, I'm looking for ways to simplify my life. If you guys have any fantastic solutions, I'd love to hear them. Again, the easy one that would probably make the greatest impact would be to ditch cable. You know, and I do enjoy YouTube. I'm increasingly spending more time watching YT PC videos and the like, enjoying a lot of you guys out there. And quick shout out to Handlebar Mike, and point out that he dropped a V reference the other day from the old 80s sci-fi series, and I myself am a huge Battlestar Galactica fan, both the old and new series. But just a quick aside, I got a kick out of that reference, and thought I'd throw one back at him. Nevertheless, looking for ways to simplify my life. Starting with the emails. Another thing that I have done in the process of trying to get rid of this old account is unsubscribing to all of the corporate company email stuff, the coupon emails that come from your Staples, your Amazon, your whatever service. They all get you to sign up for this stuff because you think you need it. And I unsubscribed from all of that and eliminated about 10 emails a day. And I don't do a lot of online consuming. That's the really amazing part of all of that, is that just found its way. You know, I believe it's Staples was sending upwards of 8 emails a week because I had unwittingly signed up for all of their different email programs. Amazon will do the same thing to you if you don't go in there and start unchecking boxes and saying, you know, I don't want any of this, or I want very little of it anyway. So that's one thing that's helped simplify the electronic side of life. I had mentioned I'm also in a couple of volunteer organizations. Made the decision just today that one of those is going away. It's been an organization I've been with for 6 years, but when those board meetings come around, I am increasingly less interested in going. I am increasingly less interested in participating once I'm there. And as much fun as I've had with this organization and as much good as I feel we've done, this is one where I can step away and say, you know what, you need somebody who's more willing to engage. And what that does do is helps me focus a little more on the one that I'm going to stay in. And you know, you may be sitting there saying, well, why don't you just get rid of both of them? The thoughts cross my mind. It's not practical right now for the position I'm in with the second organization. But maybe in a year it will be. But I want to get back to free time in the evenings, or I shouldn't even say free time, but being able to have those gaps where I can focus on a singular task and be effective. And I think that's part of what draws me to enjoying scotch and smoking a pipe, is the fact that it requires some focus. It requires some attention to the act, to the art, if you will. But I do find that I focus better because I know what I'm doing. I'm thinking about what I'm doing, and I think it helps me narrow my focus in. But again, any ideas you guys have for simplifying life, stuff that you've done, gotten rid of, passed on, whatever it is that's made your stuff better, I would absolutely entertain any and all ideas. And I would also say a couple other things. One, this is being recorded in 4K. I said it was last week. I didn't know how to run my own damn camera. I got it figured out, so we're going to upload this one in 4K just because I can. We'll see what happens. I don't expect anything much, but I'm just curious myself because this is the first time I've shot in 4K with my new camera, and I want to see how it turns out. But the other thing I'm going to do is split my YouTube channel into two. If you're watching this video, you won't be asked to track me down at a different channel. But it's funny, when I started this, it was for a completely different purpose. Did not intend on doing videos at all like this, and that's why the name Planet Fremont is more to do with my local location than has anything to do with me. But I am going to bracket that stuff apart. Doesn't really simplify it, actually, again, adds a layer of complexity, but if it hopefully will make things simpler for those of you who are watching to be able to understand and know what happens when your notifications ding or whatever the case may be. Anyway, I'm going to try to relight my pipe again, enjoy the rest of my quiet nights in the pipe and also in my environment, and try to focus on a singular task, which is making everything simpler in my life. I hope you've enjoyed this. Check out some of the other content, including some Scotch reviews if you're into the lower end, lower class of Scotches, and more Friday night philosophies. But look forward to updates on the simplification of life. Hopefully I can come up with some good solutions, not just for me, but maybe something you guys can put to use also. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.